The people from Utica are very friendly. They're very kind people, but they have a reason not to trust people because they were done very, very wrong. I got a call from a guy that said that he needed for me to meet him at town hall. So eventually he convinced me that it was safe to meet him. I drove up there, pulled up next to his car, and he handed me a folder. And inside the folder was pictures of fire trucks. I looked at him, I'm like, I don't understand what you're trying to show me here. And he said, nobody knows where these fire trucks are at. And I said, tell me what you mean. And he said, those are trucks that Utica owned that have disappeared.
I didn't know what to expect, right? We rolled into Utica yesterday. I looked into the information of what happened here. I didn't really understand that story until I got a chance to ride around with the chief.
This is the original town of Utica. It's really small. It's an old river town.
They had a down period within the department with some people that were at the helm that rode and drove this department into the ground through theft and deception. There was really inadequate fire protection during that expansion time.
I say all the time, Jeremy, that these people were gaslighted into believing that they had a fire department when they didn't. They literally told them that there was fire trucks in the firehouse when there was not. They were told that there was firefighters. They had tinted windows on the firehouse. There was no exterior lighting.
Did you think he was nuts for getting involved?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially when I got here. If you would have been here day one, you would have said no way. I mean, the floors, I wouldn't let my dog eat off these floors. It's a completely different place now. I mean, this place was in bad shape.
They were buying these brand new fire trucks, and they would hold these fire trucks until there was some equity, and then they would turn around and sell the fire trucks, tell the fire board they were trading on a new fire truck, pocketing the money, and then going out and financing a new fire truck. So that was all part of the scam.
And just because of the love I have for the fire service, I couldn't believe that someone would do this.
We did not have anyone else qualified or willing to be the fire chief. I knew that I could do it. We made the decision that I would be the chief and that I would staff it. We had less than $300,000 to spend on fire trucks.
The first thing I asked, how much time do we have? He said 5 months. People said we couldn't do it. And I knew that we could because we had the right leadership, the right people, and the right mindset. We didn't have a choice.
So, Chief, when I arrived, bay doors are up. It's a beautiful sunny day, and I see these 3 beautiful apparatus in here. How did you find these apparatus?
It was through Garage. I was scrolling Facebook one day, saw the Garage ad pop up, never heard of it, passed the ad up, went back to it. We knew we needed 1,000-gallon
Makes sense.
pumpers. And the first one I saw was the Quint that's standing behind me.
We would have had no way of knowing that New Haven had fire trucks for sale. When we started dealing with Garage, they put us in contact with the fire chief that owned the fire truck. So I was actually talking to the chief, not a sales guy. We were meeting with the chief up there. He was a great guy, went over the truck with us, told us all its history and everything. And then he said, I want to show you another truck. He said, we're thinking about selling it too, which ended up being our Engine 12. We didn't know Garage. We didn't know any of the people there. They jumped in and helped us realign the fleet the way that we could afford to do it.
You guys needed to build your fire department back from what it was, right? And now Garage was able to, what, they supplied all 3?
Yes. Told them what we needed. We needed 2 1,000-gallon pumpers and a Quint. And within hours, the 2 pumpers came available. We had a lot of Zoom calls, video walkthrough with the chief. We knew everything about the trucks without ever seeing the trucks.
Those relationships also allowed you to get some other equipment on these trucks when they came in.
Yeah, so they left holes on the trucks, they left fire combs on the truck. They really set us up to succeed.
That is what the fire service is all about.
Right. We got a better deal than what we anticipated. I didn't expect us to leave that day with the truck. I thought there was other hoops to jump through, and we left that day with this engine.
How many volunteers do you have in-house today?
40.
40. In 5 months, you all came through the process together, including yourself.
I went through the recruit class. Eric went through the recruit class.
You've been a fireman since 1981, but your badge says servicing since 2025.
Right. We've got a group of guys that met 6 months ago, and they've become brothers. I watch my guys climb ladders. I climb ladders with them. I stretch hose with them. I cut cars up with them. We built a brotherhood here, and I think it'll live for a long, long time.
See cars lined up and people pulled over and children outside playing. Everybody was here just to see their fire truck show up through town.
The volunteer fire service, without a doubt, is one of the best institutions in America. It's built on that founding belief that giving back to your community makes you better. They're doing that very much here in Utica.
At midnight on January 1st, the stress kind of went down. You know, we're a real fire department now. We're ready to service this town and this community that's been through so much. So we're just ecstatic to be here. We're just ecstatic that we were able to be a part of this.
Corlymore Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 358. My guest tonight is Jason Worthy. He is husband to Samantha, father to Chloe, John, Abel, and Rowan, grandfather to Olivia, a second-generation firefighter with 18 years on the job, many of them spent on a truck company. Currently the captain on Ladder 24 at the South Spartanburg Fire Department. He has attended OBT2, NC Breathing Equipment School, Truckman Academy, SC Fire Officers Academy, and he is here on the scrap to talk about anything truck work, search, RIT, department culture, lateraling in as a company officer. They call him the best kept secret in the fire service. And people are saying he should have been on here so much sooner, and they're probably right. So I'm excited for this conversation. Welcome, my brother, Jason Worthy, for episode number 358 of The Scrap.
Thank y'all. I'm excited to be here. Humbled. Excited.
Excellent. I always like to ask, after I do the whole intro thing, is there anything I missed, anything you want to add, anything that is important you'd like to get out there?
No, that was plenty. Way too much about me. So let's talk about some fire stuff.
I like it. I like it. So with that being said, audience, get your questions primed and ready. It looks to be a fun discussion, an interesting discussion. And so with that being said, I am going, and Sam is here as always, trying to make us look good. He has to work with what he has to work with. And he's going to be looking for your questions. So get him in. Sam will get them to us. I will get them to Jason, and we will get you answers. So let's do the sponsors and let's get the scrap going. We talk a lot on this show about fighting complacency. We talk a lot on this show about fighting complacency on the fire ground and with your fleet. That's why you need to know about shopgarage.com. ShopGarage.com is the premier online marketplace for used fire trucks, ambulances, and emergency equipment. They've got a huge inventory of quality, vetted, pre-owned apparatus so you can upgrade without breaking the bank. Do you have an old engine, squad, or gear collecting dust? List it on ShopGarage.com, turn that steel into cash, and put the money back into your training. Don't let budget constraints become an excuse. Head to ShopGarage.com today. Whether you're buying or selling, they'll help keep your department response ready. ShopGarage.com. Everything in the fire service gets tested. Training, instincts, equipment. That's why SnapTight designs and builds its fire hose to perform no matter the challenge. Durability, packability, kink resistance. Every single line is tested before it leaves the factory, so you know you can count on it. SnapTight is American-made, firefighter trusted. Visit snaptighthose.com to learn more or find a distributor near you. FirestationFurniture.com. They provide a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. They are firefighter-owned, firefighter-operated. They understand the strain that firefighters put on furniture and offer furniture that's built to last. Visit www.firestationfurniture.com for more information. And last but not least, y'allonfire.com. If you want top-tier level instruction, company officers, situational awareness, confrontations, tradition, and culture, man, y'allonfire.com. Go check it out. One of my favorite people on this planet, Major Dane Yaw out of OKC Fire, amazing instructor. Go check out the class offerings. Okay, with all of that being said, the sponsors are done, the bills are paid, and it's time to scrap. Jason Worthy, let's start.
Yes, sir.
I want to kick it off and just to get people to know you. Tell me about, well, you said, I always ask for topics, and you said my dad and your path to coming onto the job. So that's where we'll start. Your path to coming onto the job.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, my dad was a fireman my whole life. He started in the fire service as a volunteer at a rescue squad when he was 13 and 14, and then straight into the fire service. So I've only ever known the fire department. My experience with the fire department for me was very interesting. I spent uh, a lot of my time at the fire department, getting to ride in the fire truck running calls when I was 3, 4, and 5 years old. He became the chief of our local volunteer department very early in my life. So running calls with him in his pickup truck, sitting in the cab of his truck while he went and done stuff, and I just got to watch. But as things happened, as my dad progressed through his career, uh, he actually advised me as a teenager to not go into the fire service. And I know
Okay.
that's kind of common with firemen and dads who have sons, and there's times where they just feel like maybe it's not the path. So from about the middle of teenage years up, I had decided that I wanted to be a game warden. So that's kind of where my path was. If you had asked me, I said, hey, I'm going to go and I want to work for South Carolina DNR and be a game warden. All of my choices throughout my school career mirrored that. So I graduated high school, went to Clemson, majored in fisheries and wildlife biology. Came my senior year, started going to job fairs. I was actually running an automotive shop on the days that I wasn't in school. So I kind of wanted to keep doing that. There were really no jobs in the state. DNR as a game boards at the time, that's a job around here that once you get it, it takes forever for you to see any turnover there. People typically stay in that job, or at least they did when I was graduating. So a lot of the jobs were out west, and I didn't really want to move. One of the part-time gigs I did was I worked with a bunch of city firemen from our local city of Spartanburg, doing construction. And they kind of said, hey, man, we're having a test to hire new firemen. Oh, why don't you come and test? And I kicked it back and forth whether it's something I wanted to do or didn't want to do. I had been around it my whole life, but never really felt like, hey, this is where I want to go with life. And kind of the schedule, we sell a lot of people on that. Was kind of what sold me was, hey, let's you'll have days off, you can run your business, come try it. If you hate it, no hard feelings, nobody's going to think less of you. So I went, tested, got hired on at the department, went to recruit school. The very first fire behaviors burn, they lined us all up, lit the pallets off, we're sitting in, fire's growing, showing us the stage of the fire. That was it. I walked out of the building that day and said, well, this is what I'm doing with the rest of my life. This is where God's called me. And it's been that way ever since. I've been committed to the job and all about the job since that day. And it was kind of cool. My dad got to pin me post-graduation and kind of went full circle. We worked in the same department for about 4.5, 5 years.
Oh, that's
before
awesome.
I transitioned departments.
That is very cool. So it is like the fact that he actually discouraged you from going into it, but yet you still ended up there. That is a unique a path to get into
Yes,
it.
sir. It was interesting because he wasn't ever really super negative about it. He just said, hey, like don't commit yourself to this, go make more money or whatever the conversation would be at the time. And then man, when it's what you're called to do though, like I said, I'll never forget that burn and the feeling of, hey, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do.
That is beautiful, man. No, and there's a lot of people that get hit with the especially once they get to see and go in and see the big beautiful orange beast, and they're hit, they're hooked, and it's on, and that's just the way it's supposed to be. So I love it. Let's go to taking a lateral company officer position, and this is a unique. This is happening more and more throughout the fire services. Laterals become more and more prevalent. So talk to me about how your experience was and advice you'd have for others when it comes to moving laterally, but especially laterally into a company officer position.
So I'll tell you that this is probably the number one question that I get when I'm talking to people about the transition into the new department is, how was it lateraling in as a company officer or as a captain? And it was a concern that I had. I was a company officer, lieutenant on the ladder at a department in Greenville County, and decided like, hey, I want to take this position, and I was worried. I'll tell you that my guys have made it super easy. There was 2 of us that lateraled in. There's another stud from the middle of the state, Chevis Sexton. He's another one you should get on your guest list. But he lateraled in with me, and I think for both of us, it's been different. It's been unique, but the guys we work with are the right guys. They're all dogs, and they've supported us from the jump. I think that if I was to give advice, it would be just to stay humble, to be who you are, but stay humble. I think both of us would tell you to take some time to figure out the way things work at the department. Don't try to come in and be the boss from day one. Try and sit back and just observe the way things are before you start trying to make a ton of changes. And then just lead by example. I really didn't change anything about my leadership style or what I do. I just show up and try to serve my people. I feel like servant leadership is the best form of leadership, and that's what I did. And like I said, my guys have made it super easy. They've been bought in with me since the day I arrived. Whether it's unique to my department and my guys, or that's the way it works across the country, for me it was a pretty easy transition.
That's awesome. And that humility seems to be a recurring theme that comes up over and over and over when I talk about this topic. And I'm sure for you also. The audience is already starting with the questions, so we're going to move right into them. We have plenty to talk about, but we're going to get them involved. So here we go. Are you ready for your first question from the audience?
Let's do it.
Matthew, KFD, wants to know, question: when trying to build a culture from the bottom, when your crew keeps changing, in 7 years, I've had several drivers and backstep guys and about to start over again.
So my opinion on building culture from the bottom up is something that we've tried to push since we've got to the department, and that's having some buy-in from every position. So letting your firemen have responsibility and take responsibility for those positions. Letting them understand, like, hey, you influence our culture by you doing these things. You taking ownership of whatever it may be, the inventory on the rig, or making sure the flags are raised in the mornings, and they're at half staff when they're supposed to be at half staff. And I think when everybody buys into their position and takes ownership of their position, it just pushes the culture forward. So I would say, I couldn't tell with the question whether that was like a company boss or a fireman asking. If it's a fireman asking, even if it's a company boss, but definitely as a fireman, I would say control the controllables. There's only so much in your wheelhouse on the job that you can control. Control those things. Be good at those things. The things you can't control and the things that get frustrating in the day-to-day life of a firehouse, let go. Own your position. Be really good at your position, and then the culture just kind of snowballs from there.
Right on. And I love the controllables, which is, again, anybody who's dealt with it, that seems to be the recurring theme. Anybody who's been successful, and because if you're not, then where are you spending your energy? And then at that, it becomes the dominating force of the wasted energy as you try to impact that culture. Candace asked Dr. Chief, I have to get it right. Dr. Chief Candace Ashby coming at you, says, I find cultures within cultures with laterals as they bring the culture of where they came from. How do you form a new culture when there's such diverse backgrounds?
So that's interesting, and I would love if Chevis was here and he could give his opinion too, because it's something we talk about a lot. I think that's 100% right. We bring a piece of the culture of the other places that we have been with us. So the stuff that worked, the stuff that we didn't think worked, and we bring that, and our opinion of what the culture should be maybe is influenced by that. I'll tell you that even from the outside looking in, I lateraled into the department of the district that I live in. So I had a good view of what that department culture looked like before I ever got there. And there was a lot of things culturally that I liked going on before I got there. It was part of what led me to making the decision, was culturally, especially in those bottom positions, it felt like they were doing a lot of the right things. So coming in, I felt like there were a lot of things culturally that were already equal to my mindset. So it wasn't a humongous shift in culture. It was just continuing to drive the culture in the right direction.
Right on. No, and I'll leave it. Yeah, that's a great answer. So I'll leave it there, and we'll dig in on other stuff as we go. Jared Van Eck, my man, Jason, how important is it for recruits to have proper fitness indoctrination to mold them into successful firefighters?
It's a great question from a fellow fitness cadre member.
He is a fit dude.
He's a fit dude, and we work together on our county recruit ESA fitness program. So it's vital, right? It's talked about a lot on this podcast and a ton of others around the country, and it's a core belief of mine, and that's without physical fitness, we can't be firemen. It lets us do our job more efficiently. It lets us accomplish more work in a shorter time span, and it allows us to perform better for the people that we serve. So it's vital, and it's vital to indoctrinate that from day one, not once they get on the floor.
Have you noticed it harder at where you're at that level where you guys are at? Has it become more difficult? Do people seem to rise to the challenge, or what are the challenges that you've faced?
I feel like it's probably a mixed bag of people who rise to the occasion and then people who just do enough to skirt by, and that's just an honest opinion from the recruit level.
Sure.
Our recruit program currently is it's a mandatory part of their program, but not necessarily something that they can fail. So as long as they show up, put forth some form of effort, then they can skirt by.
Now, okay? Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. That's at the county level, and there's a group of us that are pushing that program forward. And of course, we are there to motivate them and make sure that they're putting out, and we do a pretty good job of that. As far as on the floor goes, once firemen get on the floor, the way that I've always led there is just by example, right? Nobody really wants to sit back and watch you work. So if you get out there and you're doing what you need to do workout wise, and you're keeping your fitness at the forefront, especially in a company officer's position, it becomes really easy for your people to just kind of show up and do it with you.
Right on. Leading by example, again, tied back to that servant leadership.
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned OBT plus a lot of other stuff you went to, but OBT specifically. Now, obviously, you like to challenge yourself if you went and undertook that. Talk to me about those kind of personal things, those challenges. Why? Tell me why you chose OBT. Are you going to do others? Are you done with that kind of thing? Where are you at with it?
So I'm definitely doing more. I'm always looking for a challenge. I believe that when we find challenges like that, it causes us to step up our training, which only makes us better firemen, regardless of outcome of program. I have attempted smoke diver programs and been unsuccessful, but I feel like that just the training for those programs has made me a better fireman. So I'm going to continue to do that, whether it's a smoke diver program or the Georgia Flames program. There's a ton of programs out there, and they get bigger and bigger as far as number wise and how many programs are there. So if you want a challenge, there's plenty out there for you to go and do. And for me, that'll be a part of my career as long as I'm in it, is searching for that next challenge and something to train for.
Right on. No, I love that. Yeah, no, okay. I'll come back to it if we have time. Jason, this one's coming at you from Kevin Kate. He wants to know, Jason, how do you scale real world stress of the fire scene to the training ground when training regulations are holding us back?
That's a great question. And Kevin teach a lot together, something that we've discussed. But I think with getting conditions as realistic as you possibly can, and then inducing stress through other means, whether that's fatigue, whether that's fatigue through some sort of PT before we go and work, or maybe we just ask you to do more things on the fire ground to fatigue you before we approach the actual goal of training. That's the best way that I know to create similar conditions to what we see on the fire ground.
Just as realistic as possible, and then fatigue.
Realistic as possible and fatigue. I have a saying, and all my guys at work know that one of my sayings is we all, myself included, think that we're better than what we are. As soon as we get tired, we learn real quick that we're not as good as we think we are, and we could always be better. So the more we can do reps under fatigue, I think the better off we are. We can only make conditions as realistic as we can make them. We all don't get to burn in acquireds often. I know across the country, other places, maybe they do. We're all kind of limited to NFPA 1403. So that kind of keeps our conditions to what they are. So outside of that, trying to replicate the heart rate that you're going to have with the adrenaline dump and all that introducing fatigue and stress into the reps is the best way that we can make it realistic.
Right on, right on. What is Jay Mosesar? I'm not sure exactly who that is, but that's the YouTube name. Jay Mosesar says, "Where is the line between senior man privilege and just plain laziness?" I love this question, so I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Man, that's a good question. And it's a tough one for me because even as a company boss, I don't believe that the only privilege that I have is to serve my people. So if privilege means me getting to kick my feet up early, that's never been me. So I don't know that I would know where that line is. So for me, I want to see my guys all working together to accomplish the task, whatever their task is throughout the day, and that's myself included. Obviously, as a company boss, there's other things that we have to do, but I try to make it a goal that I spend my extra time, whether that's getting up early or staying up late, to accomplish all the things that I need to do that they're not included in.
Right on, right on. Great answer to a great question. Logan Hinkle coming at you and says, "Jason, how do you place importance on having an impact inside the walls of your department while going outside of the walls so often?"
That's another great question, and it's tough. I'll be honest. We ask about programs and stuff that I attended. I made the commitment when I lateraled into this position that I was taking the full year off, meaning that I wasn't chasing a program, that my focus was going to be at this department and making an impact on my crew and getting buy-in from them now. Those programs can wait. They'll be there. So I do think that you can't always be outside of your box if you want to make a difference in your box. You have to be in your box. You have to be with the people that you work with. Being involved in training programs in your own department, which can be tough to do. It can be tough to be an expert in your field in your own backyard. The people that see you work every day and they see the times that you're having bad days and slack off, it can make you seem hypocritical, but you have to do it if you really want to make an impact and you want to share the knowledge that you've gained from going outside and getting great training outside. You have to get involved with training at home too. So.
No, it's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. This one's coming from the salty rookie, Nicole O'Donnell. JW, what was the one experience that shaped you into the leader you are now for all your firefighters? And what did you learn from it?
That's another great question. And it's a tough one because I feel like servant leadership has just been a part of my life. It's the way that I was raised. I always try to serve my family at home. When I was at home as a kid, I tried to serve my parents, and that's just kind of where leadership has led me. Just like anybody in the fire service, I've had bad leaders and I've had really good leaders. I've tried to mimic the good leaders, the qualities that I liked. A lot of those were servant leaders. They were the people who, as company bosses or chiefs, were always getting their hands dirty. They were always the ones that you could turn around after a fire and see a fire chief rolling hose. That is the leaders that I have tried to mimic. And then the bad leaders, they're all lessons, right? It's a lesson of maybe how I don't want to lead and things that I don't want to do and things that I would do differently. But it all comes from having good leaders that were servant leaders and then me mimicking that.
Right on. Now, do you think in your personal experience, did you learn more of what not to do or more of what to do? Like there's no right answer. I just wonder in your personal experience, which one impacted you more?
Man, that's a very reflective question because it would be really easy for me to say, the positive ones influence me more because they're what I want to mimic. But in reality, it's probably the leaders that didn't lead me as well, that left me for days on end, wanting more, wanting someone to lead me better, that caused me to look outside of my box at leaders outside of my department to see leadership and see better leadership. So that's a really tough question. And an honest answer would be it was probably 50-50.
50-50.
It's probably 50% of the bad leaders that showed me what I didn't want to do as a leader, and then 50% of having really good leaders and really good friends in the fire service that are amazing mentors and leaders, and then just mimicking what they did.
No, and that's awesome. And to be able to say 50-50, it means you had a good mix of leadership, because a lot of it depends on the leaders. Some people don't have the goods to even reference. So that does make you blessed in this profession.
Absolutely.
Sam is still grabbing your questions. They are still coming. I'm still working on my Australian accent. I worked on it really hard. I actually did. Well, I've been sick. Me and Jason were talking about. I've been under the weather, and I've been working on my Australian accent. But Luke Stevenson coming at you from down under with the Luke Nukes. He says, "What are your thoughts on there being a point where you switch from strain, or what he calls making change, from strain to maintain, holding where you are? How do you switch from strain to maintain without sliding to complacency?"
I'm going to steal one of my mentors in the fire service and good friend, Basil. There is no middle ground. You're either making progress or you're losing progress. If you are not making progress, then you are becoming complacent. So it's a tough question, but I don't think that that's a switch that you can turn on or off. It's progress forward or you're moving backwards.
Oh, I love A, referencing Basil. That's always, you can't go wrong. And B, what a great answer. I absolutely love, because it's a never ending fight against complacency. And it is a fight. You have to be fighting, or you're sliding to complacency. I'm working on it, Luke. I'm going to try my without forcing it. I'm going to try to do an Australian accent at some point. It's an ongoing thing. It's going to happen. Pat English says, "How do you build a culture in a firehouse when nobody else buys in, despite repeated attempts at culture and brotherhood?" Now, this is a tough question because there's so many details you need to know, but this is the question you get from Pat. So dig into it whatever way you want.
And that is a tough question, and it can become very frustrating, especially depending on where you are in the scale of the organization. If you're a backstep fireman who's trying to push culture forward, it can be extremely frustrating if nobody else above you is buying in. My training chief at current department said just yesterday we had a fire, and he made the comment that leadership's great, but you can only lead as much as the leadership above you lets you lead. And though I agree with that statement, if you're on a crew, you can lead your crew to the best of your ability. The answer to the question of how do you deal with that is the old saying for me is 10% of the pressure 100% of the time. A lot of people, I feel like, when they want to make culture change in an organization, they want to come in at 110% pressure, and that can only last so long before you're burnt out yourself and you're miserable, or the organization is burnt out from you and they're no longer listening to anything you have to say. So I'm a fan of that 10% of the pressure 100% of the time.
Right on. My man, Rob Fisher, 10% of pressure, 100%. And he doesn't take credit for it. That's where I learned it from. That's who I give credit to. And what was it, Von Oppen, I think, who said it is a war of attrition. It is not a shock and awe campaign. And if you approach it like a shock and awe campaign, you will find that you make a lot of enemies and don't make a lot of progress. At least that's been my experience. And most of the people I talk to. Yeah. Most of the people can agree. Captain M. Rossi wants to know, what is one thing your company does consistently that has had the biggest impact on building and starting your culture, especially when no one is watching? He put that part at the end in parentheses.
Yeah, a big thing that I'm a huge fan of, and that's spending time together. And I think as firehouses become more modern, and though I know that there's tremendous benefit from individual bunk rooms and individual space, I think that we start losing the aspect of spending time together. I try with my crew for us to do everything together, even if we're not necessarily cooking a meal that we're sitting down and eating together. We all sit down and eat our food at the same time. We train together every shift, whether that's something simple as on the ladder truck throwing aluminum, or stretching a line off the engine, whatever that may be. It can be small. It doesn't have to be extravagant, but we spend time together. We train. We typically try to get a workout together every shift. For me, a lot of times that's going to be a gear workout, and we're going to burn a bottle together. Nothing builds a bond like blood, sweat, and tears. Right
on. Now you make that a priority as the leader. You made that a priority, so it's become a priority for your crew. Do you think this is a subjective question, but do you think you're tighter than most crews because of that? I mean, I don't know if that's a no-brainer question, but.
So I think that any crew that spends time together like that is going to be tighter. I don't think that it's a unique thing to me. I think that any crew that spends that amount of time together, yeah, you're going to disagree, but those disagreements are typically water off your back by the time you move to the next task or the next thing that's on your list.
Was there any pushback to that, or was it strictly lead by example, or were they all bought in? Was it easy for you because they were all bought in, or what was your experience for people who say, I want my people to spend time together, but our culture right now is everybody goes to their own bunk room and doesn't really do stuff together? And
so it was pretty easy for me, and I think at our organization, it's pretty easy because we enjoy spending time together.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that culturally, as I said before, that drew me into this firehouse. Whereas I've worked at other places where in the mornings you do your pass on with the person relieving you and it's out the door. Whereas this at my department now, it'll be past our shift changes at 7:15 and it'll be 8:30, 9 o'clock, and people are still hanging out, just spending time together. Whether it's out on the bay floor while the other crew's checking off trucks or going over something on training or whatever. So I can't say that it was hard for me. Everybody being bought in was definitely made it easy.
Right.
But I also just showed up day one and did exactly what I was doing when I left my other department. When it came time that I would normally work out, I put my gear on or went and got the weights and started working out. Told the crew, hey, I'm going to go work out. If you guys want to, you're more than welcome to join me. If you don't have to get your workout in now. Now, my department does have a mandatory PT program where we're required mandatory to do an hour a shift. So at some point in time, my crew needs to get their hour in. We just decided to do it together.
No, that's awesome, man. And there's nothing better than shared sweat, shared sweat, and shared misery might be the one thing that really.
And it doesn't always have to be misery. So another cool thing that we have at one of our stations is basketball goal. And
right.
We probably had just as much fun going and shooting hoops together. And one or two of the people that I work with are really good, and the rest of us are just trying. But we had a blast doing it. So.
Right on. No, and when I say misery, it doesn't have to be miserable. Like right. Cold plunges were a thing that caught on for a little bit. And that is a shared misery, but it's a wonderful bonding experience. So without a doubt, that's the shared misery I'm talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Mr. Captain Mike or Captain Rossi. Colin Cotter wants to know, question. I love this question. If you were to go back to a 3-year guy, where would you focus your effort and how would you shape your mindset towards leadership? I'm a 3-year firefighter still trying to shape my career as a new guy.
So I know Colin. I love Colin. He's a great dude and he's doing all the right things. To be honest, very early in my career, I didn't do a great job. As a 3-year guy, I didn't do a great job of seeking training outside. I was at a department whose tradition was steeped very high in that department. And they did things their way, and you kind of learned their way, and that was what it was. Seeking outside knowledge in the fire service, whether that be a mentor, training, just visiting other departments, seeing how other people run, keeps ideas fresh in your head. Not saying that everything you see you're going to agree with. In fact, I would say there's a lot that you don't, and you learn lessons from that too, right? Like, hey, they run it this way, and that's cool. It works for them, but I don't think it'll work for us.
Right on.
And then just to soak up everything, man. It goes by so fast.
Yeah.
It's and something you talk about a lot, but it seems like yesterday I was a 3-year guy, and I'm 18 years on the job. So just enjoy every minute of it because it goes by in a blink.
There's no doubt, man. That is a true statement, man. You will be blown away by how you'll look back and go, where did the years go? I still feel young. I don't understand. Wait a second. When did I become the old guy?
That's right.
Question, Cap. And this is from Fireman Piv, Kyle Pivraw. Great questions always coming from him. He says, what are ways to build a culture around gear workouts and why they are needed for the naysayers or those that make the statement, I've never done an up down on the fire ground?
Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot. I bring it back to, it's not about an up down. It's not about whatever the movement is, a bear crawl, whatever. Sure, some of the stuff that we do in a gear workout is more fireground related or fireground relatable. The idea behind it is fatigue, is getting used to the heat stress. Gear will humble anybody. I tell people all the time, I used to have a buddy who I trained CrossFit with. He made it to the games in 2019, stud of an athlete. But you put gear on him, and we were in a whole different playing field. Whereas in CrossFit workouts where we were in PT clothes, there was no way I could keep up with anything that we did. 30 minutes in gear without being accustomed to the heat, and the playing field was level. To me, that speaks volumes. It means that you can be the fittest guy in the world. And if you're not used to wearing your gear, you're not used to the heat that creates, you're not used to the mobility that it limits, then you're not going to be efficient on the fire ground.
Right.
As far as building a culture of that, I'm going to go back to what I said all night, and that's be the person, right? It's hard for your crew to argue as a company boss, and I don't know if this person's asking from that point of view about going out and getting in gear and doing some sort of gear work, whatever that may be, when you're the one out there doing it. A lot of times across the fire service, you don't see company bosses. They won't see their crew do it. They talk about their crew doing it, but you don't see them out there doing it.
No, phenomenal. Set the bar, be the bar,
That's
lead
right.
by example, stay humble.
sir.
I think I'm catching the theme here. I really am. I'm loving it. Great question, Kyle. Thank you for it. Great answer, Jason. Man, the questions are still coming in, so I'm going to keep plowing through them as long as you and if you want to get to something specific, work it in, or we'll swing back around. Bradley Valancourt wants to know, when you get a new firefighter to your company, what expectations do you give them?
Man, that's a great question. I typically try to have an expectation meeting off the jump, and that's expectations on the fire ground, expectations around the station, whatever their role is. As far as what I expect out of a new fireman is to learn the truck, to learn their equipment, and to learn what our job task will be. And like I said, we go over that day one. I just transitioned back to the truck company, and that was day one of our shift at the station we got moved to. It's a crew that I had already been working with, but we've been working on an engine. So once again, they already kind of knew my expectation as far as we're going to get a workout in together. We're going to spend time together. They knew those expectations, but we had expectation meeting day one on, okay, this is how this truck company is going to run. This is what I expect you to do when we pull up on the fire ground. This is what I expect us to do. And then around the station, right? Like, hey, let's make sure we get our task complete. Obviously, and once again, I hate even using the senior man analogy, but because we all try to work together to accomplish those tasks. But those expectations are laid out day one to answer the question.
Beautiful. No, great question, Brad. And again, great answer, Jason. So I've got a theme. I've got a definite recurring thing going here. Kevin Case, C9N. He says, all right, serious question time. So we'll see. I always worry when firefighters open up with that. I'm like, is it or is it not? We'll find out. Having spent the time that you did at your old department, how do you make the tough decision to leave and go somewhere else after you have invested your time? So it is a serious question. So
it is a serious question. I'll tell you, the decision wasn't easy. I spent 13 years at my other department. A lot of my best friends, a lot of my mentors are still work there. People that have driven me to become who I am. And some of those guys were there before me, and some of them came to work after me. And they're the reason that I am who I am. And I love my old department. I started to look at when the opportunity came open. I should start with the fact that I really wasn't looking to leave. The opportunity came open. I looked into it. I liked the culture. I liked the thought of being able to serve the community that I live in. I want to make a difference, to be able to impact culture. And I felt like the best way that I could do that was the department that I moved to. They're a relatively new department. Our patch, they're a consolidation of 3. So our patch is only 3 years old, 3.5, 4 years old. So the opportunities to impact culture were pretty high because it's new, right?
Right.
The other departments had their own identity and were merging into one, and they were looking for fresh ideas. And I just felt like that my impact in the fire service was best served there. Not an easy decision though, at all.
No, and I'd be surprised. Yeah, if you said anything other than that, then I would wonder what the story, there had to be a different story if it was an easy decision to make, especially after 13 years, you said. So that's no small amount of time. Great question. Great answer. Again, I'm going to say something different on the next one, I promise. Here we go. Baked Creature says, if you're the only one calling for change consistently, I've seen those members become white noise to the department and their words go unheard. How do you push constantly without becoming white noise?
That's a great question. Uh, I think things in the fire service, a lot of times we feel like we're on an island by ourselves because we make ourselves on an island by ourselves. Uh, Once again, I think that if you're the person who is leading by example, so let's say, for instance, that you want to see your cross lay change to a different load, and you start giving that pressure. One will go back to what I said earlier in the podcast, and that was 10% of the pressure 100% of the time. Don't come in shock and awe, because very quickly you'll get frustrated and you'll feel like you're on an island. I would say lead by example. So you want to see it change, come in the mornings. Of course, if you're a firefighter, clear this with your company boss. Say, hey, I'd like to rack this crosslay different, right? And then just start pulling it, right? And you may be the only person in the bay pulling it. But I promise, at least in my experience, after the reps that you put in, eventually your engineer or your company boss is going to walk out there and they're going to look at it. And if it is more efficient, it's going to show, right? And then the ball starts rolling, right? Or maybe it's a firefighter at shift change that noticed that you're racking the hose back and he doesn't know why because you didn't have a fire, and you explain like, hey, I'm trying a different load. They start asking questions. Well, now I can explain, and I can explain the why, rather than just coming at it as we need to change this because X, Y, Z, and just applying all that pressure at one time. I think that you get more buy-in, and once you get the ball rolling and realize like, hey, I'm not on the island by myself anymore. I've got, all the firemen across all 3 shifts at this station are starting to believe that this is a better decision. Well, then that rolls uphill, and maybe the drivers start to buy in and say, hey, that we think, and then eventually change happens. It can be super frustrating, and it can take a long, long time. All you can do is control what you can control, apply the pressure that is efficient, that's not too much pressure, and then be patient. And being patient can be hard sometimes.
No doubt about it, man. It's a test of your patience, without a doubt. And I will do a shameless plug here for the Scrap Solo number 5. Rob Fisher was number 5. He is Vigilante number 5, and he was Scrap Solo number 5, but not the point. He talked about it on there, the 10 pounds of pressure 100% of the time, and how to prevent from becoming the white noise. The whole purpose is to keep it on the table, to keep it
That's
on
right.
the table. Because if you push too hard, you push it off the table and you become that white noise. And anyway, a shameless plug, go check it out because that's all he's talking about. So in answer to that question, that is basically the whole solo. So again, shameless plug, but it is on topic.
Hey,
Pat,
go ahead. Touch on that just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I do believe that you become white noise, but you also start to lose your credibility.
No,
people just they don't stop listening to you about the one thing that you're trying to change. They start not believing you're credible for many things. That you start becoming the person who is just a person who gripes all the time, right? Who's just a person who's unhappy about something in the firehouse, right? And because you're frustrated, being unhappy becomes who you are. So once again, keep that pressure at a manageable level, both for yourself and your organization, so you don't start to lose credibility and become white noise.
Man, no, that's fantastic point. Fantastic point. I heard something from, I listen to Alex Hormozy quite a bit, but he said something about complainers. He said, if you complain, you're dead to me. Now he's very black and white and probably harsher than I am on some things, but he was talking about complaining and how when you complain, it's just a waste of energy for you, the person you're complaining to. And not only that, the person you're complaining to loses respect for you. And I was sitting there listening to this going, holy smokes, is this true? And I mean, it hit me in the gut because I'm good at complaining. You know what I'm saying? I'm excellent at it. Yeah. But it made me really reevaluate and say, I'm going to try and complain less, and I've really worked on it since hearing that. And what you just said kind of paralleled that. And it just instantly took me back to that. Great point. Pat English. Yeah, I felt like I just asked Pat, but Pat English is saying, as someone who gets asked to teach as often as you do, at what point do you say no and take a couple of classes just to get a different perspective and some reps?
That's another great question. And as an instructor, I believe the only way that you stay credible is by taking classes. It's hard to say no for me too, though. I love opportunity. I love opportunity to share, and I have nothing groundbreaking to share. It's all something that somebody else has shared with me. I didn't invent anything. So it's hard to say no because I do want to make an impact on the fire service and to leave it better than I found it. But I believe as an instructor, if we're not constantly learning and constantly taking classes ourselves, then our credibility starts going away quick. Everything in the fire service, though it stays the same. I'll never forget. I'm gonna kind of tie back into my dad here. I lost my dad a couple years ago to job-related cancer. But one of the things that he told me on his deathbed was that the things that are burning have changed, but fire has not changed. So that's something that stuck with me. And I believe that he's right. Fire's fire, right? But the way that we do things is consistently changing, and it's changing because we live in an age where technology allows us to have data at a rate that we've never been able to do before. So if you're not going out and taking classes, and it's 3 or 4 years and you haven't been in a class yourself, then anything you're teaching is outdated. Whether it's right or wrong, there's been data that has been produced since the last time that you've even sat through a class. So I think that it's super important for you to stay relevant and for you to keep your information accurate and stay on top of the latest tactics to commit that time, whether it's 1, 2, 3, whatever classes a year that you're going to commit to yourself. And that's a personal goal, and whatever you decide personally, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that I'm still filling my cup so that I can continue to pour into others.
No, yeah. No, fantastic question. Sam Smith, Framer, wants to know, how do you influence a new captain on your shift that came from a shift that put priority on station duties? My firefighters are starting to revolt. I am a senior captain also. So again, it's hard to tell without knowing the exact rank structure and everything else, but I'll let you make up the details as you answer this question.
Yeah, that if I'm understanding this question right, it sounds like he is an equal level captain.
That's the way I read it. He can send more details if he's in the chat, but go ahead.
Man, that can be tough and just a conversation. That it can be a hard conversation to have. And for me, that would be just kind of pulling him aside and be like, hey, man, I know that we have station duties that we have to do. It's that way across the country in the fire service. Maybe that you should sit and talk with your crew and see where you want to align that in your day. It can still be a priority, but if you set your schedule for the day, it doesn't have to be priority one. And then maybe ask him why he feels like it is priority one. As for most of the leaders in the fire service, the way that we run things is done by somebody that influenced us. So maybe for whatever reason, he had a chief officer or maybe a captain before him that said, hey, we're going to get our station duties done first thing in the morning so that we can have the rest of the day to train or whatever the case may be. It can be frustrating. Once again, you can only do so many station duties though. So do what needs to be done, and then when you're done with that task, go and do the training that you want to do and influence. I would tell his crew to influence from the bottom up. Like, just because he wants to focus on station duties and then maybe doesn't want to do anything after station duties doesn't mean that you can't go out and do the things you need to do. But as an equal level captain, that's just a conversation that I would have to have, and maybe just try to explain that his crew's frustrated and they feel like the priorities for their trucks in the wrong spot, and that they'd like to see more training, and then just kind of go from there and make it a conversation. Don't approach it aggressively, because that approach won't work. Don't tell him what he's doing is wrong. Try to listen, try to hear why he's doing what he's doing, because once again, typically there's a reason, and
Right.
maybe he has a valid reason. And then maybe you have to go to his crew and kind of play middleman and be like, hey guys, listen, I understand you're frustrated, but this is the reason he's doing it. And if you understand the reason, then a lot of times those things don't become as big a deal.
Right on. And the big part, what I heard you say is you got to put in some work to get to the solution. It's going to take some work.
Right.
It's not
That's
just a conversation or there's no easy answer. It takes work.
That's
and
right.
that's the part where most people they want to skip the work.
That's right, for sure.
Logan Hinkle, Jason, there's so many questions, brother. They're still coming in, so you're crushing it. I hope you're enjoying yourself. It's rapid fire. Jason, what's your view as a truck company captain on command-driven firegrounds versus SOG-driven firegrounds? How does it change a rookie's understanding of their job and their operational mindset?
So I'm going to answer that question the best I can.
Sure.
I believe in having a playbook, a known playbook, where everybody on the truck knows, hey, bread and butter fire, this should be this should be right to our playbook and right to our most popular play that we do. This is what we do. This is all our reps. My truck knows that anything outside of that playbook is an audible. Whether that's an audible that we know on the way there, or when we pull up in the front yard and we jump out of the truck and I look and say like, hey, we're not gonna have a ventilation attempt here to go vertical. Let's go all in, whatever that may be. Though I like it an SOG driven so that everybody understands the playbook, I also like command driven, because as people are seeing things and the fire ground is evolving, I think that we have to evolve and we have to be able to call audibles. It can't be pure SOG driven, but having SOGs to kind of create our playbook, I think is not a bad idea.
Right on, right on. And I think, and this is my own little spiel on it, is that if it's a bread and butter, which, whatever, people like that term, don't like that term, whatever, it's a mundane fire with no curveballs, then the SOG should be able to run it from beginning to end. Like that's what it should be the expectation. But also with any SOG driven, is my expectation is we're going to have to make a call along the way on almost every fire that's going to be a little bit different than what the SOG is. And that's why the SOG is so important.
Exactly. And little things, right? Like my department's blessed and we're getting a lot of help coming to us in a hurry. So the change between who's rolling up second due and who's rolling up third due and who's getting that water supply may change because somebody turned one street early, right? And for an SOG to say like, hey, second due is going to be, and you to look at the map and say, all right, well, I'm going to be second due, and then you pull up and there's another engine already there establishing water supply. Now I'm on third. The SOGs are there, but it constantly has to evolve, and they're constantly the fire ground changes, and I know why people get upset with a bread and butter fire, because there really is no bread and butter fire. They're all different. They may look bread and butter from the front yard, but they're all different. So we have to have the opportunity to call an audible, because I feel like we have to do it a lot.
Yeah, you have to know the SOGs so that you can call the audible. Like, and that's the key, man. Like they're both so important. They're both so important.
Yep.
So many questions. I'm trying to prioritize here. I'm trying to triage these questions, prioritize and execute. I like it. I like it. No, I don't like that one. I'll just sit here and not let anybody know what I'm looking at. Steve Bausch coming at you says, do you find it easier to get interest from others by starting with a question instead of a statement? Have we ever compared different hose loads versus we need to change our hose load?
I do think that a question is the best way to begin the ball rolling for change. Once again, it's that approach of 10% pressure, right? The statement off the bat becomes more pressure. And then it becomes a question of your current influence and your current credibility. If I make a statement, for instance, when I lateraled into my department, if I walked in and said, hey, I think the way that we run this crosslay is dumb, and I think we should do this, versus saying like, hey, why are we running a 250-foot crosslay instead of a 200? Instantly, those two statements polarize one way or the other. One is a question where they have the ability to explain, and maybe I need that explanation. I think a lot of times, and like I said earlier, I tell my guys all the time, we think we're better than we are. Like we get this idea in our head that we know, like, hey, it should be this.
Right.
So then when we approach and say, hey, this is the way that I think that it should be, without listening to the reason that it is what it is, we miss a piece of that puzzle. And maybe just because originally we thought like, hey, this was dumb, we should change it. Once I hear the reasoning, maybe I don't feel that way anymore. And I'm like, hey, like you actually thought this out and I was wrong and we should leave it the way it is.
No, that's great. And the open mind, again, tied to the humility is all, again, full circle. I love this one. Kevin Kate coming at you one more time says, follow up to my earlier question. If you ever get sick of Sam, will you marry me? So
no, that's not going to happen. Can't get sick of Sam.
It's a great segue to Samantha and talking about your guys' journey together. Camera Worthy, of course, that's how I got introduced to the Worthy clan, so to speak, and her work on the Book of Search and things like that. But talk to me about the journey you guys have been on together.
Yeah, so she started taking pictures shortly after I took a truck company ops class. in Spartanburg, and Chance Craven came and took pictures. And this was like 2019. He published those pictures for us when it was super cool. The pictures are great. Chance kills it. He's one of our best friends. She saw that and was like, hey, so people do that? Like people just get to come to trainings and take pictures of firemen? And I was like, I mean, I guess this seems to be what Chance is doing. So just conversations, and she's been interested in photography her whole life. It was influenced by her father who enjoyed photography.
Right on.
And then she just started coming, and to hear her tell it, she's super humble, and she's just a person with a camera, but she's making, just like Chance and a ton of photographers across the country, they're making a difference, man, because they're documenting for our families and for our communities to see what we do and had experience, and Sam has too, with you never know what that picture you take, what kind of impact that'll be. You know, maybe that's the last picture of somebody at the job. Once again, I know Chance had those experiences, and then Sam did. My old department lost their deputy chief earlier at the end of earlier this year. And she took one of the last pictures of him in his gear at an acquired burn that we did. And that was hard. It was very impactful for her because that picture got used a lot, and which is the reason she does what she does. But yes, she started coming along with me. A lot of times she would ask for forgiveness, not permission, and taking pictures and publishing them. And she charges nothing for what she does. If conferences pick up hotel rooms or travel, that's great. But she gets to come with me and take pictures and share them with the fire service.
Right on. No, and she was one of the 3 photographers who contributed their libraries to the Book of Search. So, and you know, if you've seen the Book of Search, you've seen a lot of her work along with Jillian Stewart and Chris Mead, and just great, awesome what they've done. And I will say that I don't have a lot of regrets in life. I'm a blessed person, but one of my regrets for my career is I wish I would have taken more pictures. I really do. Looking back on it,
that statement, and it went around the fire service, and it keeps going around, is take the picture. And that is such a true statement. And we could tie that into people that we've lost in the career over the years. We could tie it into the fact that you blink and it's 18 years in. And I look back and it's like, man, so much that I don't have. I'm blessed now because she does get to take so much. And I have a ton of pictures now. And I take pictures of everything now. But there were a lot of time early in my career where we just didn't, right? And it's a regret. I would encourage everybody in the fire service, anybody listening, take the picture.
Everybody's got a nice camera in their pocket. They've got a nice camera in your pocket. Take the picture. Take the picture. It may not be as nice as Samantha's, but take the picture.
Take the picture. That's right.
Beautiful. We'll wrap it up with Whiskey Mike coming at you. Fun question. I like wrapping with a fun question. Jason, with the strong mustache game that you have, are you peer pressuring others on your crew to grow one?
No. This mustache, man, several years ago at my old department, there were a group of about 5 of us that were working the same shift. We got together and made this little side bet on who could grow a mustache and get their wife to let them keep it the longest. That was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I hadn't shaved mine yet. So, and now it's become a part of who I am. I don't pressure other people to do it. I get asked all the time for mustache advice. Man, I just let it grow. Let it grow. I can't stand for it to be in my mouth, so I do trim the hairs out of my mouth. But outside of that, I just leave it alone.
So it really was just a stubborn competition that started the whole thing. Who could be more stubborn?
A stubborn competition. I believe that there's actually 2 of us that haven't shaved the whole time.
Really? That's awesome. Amazing. All right. With that takes us to one of my favorite questions I love to ask my guests, and that is book or books that you think firefighters should be reading. I love asking this question because I love to read. So I'm always looking for new books. So what books, doesn't have to be fire books, but what books do you think firefighters should be reading?
So I've got a list, and I know I listen to Scrap all the time, so I know this is a super common question. I don't know that I'm going to say anything that is not already on the list.
100% fair. Because there are some good books on the list, and it's been around. The Scrap's been around a while now, so it's getting long in the tooth. Go ahead.
There's a couple of fire books and then a couple of non-fire books. The first one would be Report from Engine Company 82. I love that book. I've read it a couple of times.
Right.
Yep. Got it in the house. Another one was actually one that Ian suggested, and it's super hard to find, and he was right. It was super hard to find, but that's 30 Years on the Line. Great book. The next one is from the Salty Rookie.
Now, which one? I don't want. I'll let you keep going. But 30 Years on the Line, is that Boston, or is that who wrote it, or do you have any more information on it?
If I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I read it. It's Boston.
Okay, I think so. I want to say it's Okay, go ahead.
The next one comes from the Salty Rookie, and that's The Diary of a Probie. She did a great job writing that book. I give it to my new people now, so that they can reference it. Like I said, I think she did a great job with it. Non-fire books, On Combat. I know that one's been talked about a lot.
I try to say these: Diary of a Probie, Nicole O'Donnell, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Make sure. I mean, I just want to say it out loud for the people listening. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. On Combat would be the next one. That's a book that's been talked about a lot on the podcast. And then the last one that I put on my list is a new one. It's one that I just read, just came out in April, and that's Drown Proof by Andy Stumpf. Navy
Stumpf.
SEAL.
Okay. Yeah.
Great book. He doesn't talk a lot about the things that happen in the SEALs, but a lot about mindset and kind of how he used what he learned mindset-wise in the SEALs to apply it to his life. So
beautiful.
Great
Drown
book.
Proof by Stumpf. Okay.
Yep.
No, I love Stumpf's Fire Talk. I mean, that was one of my So absolutely. Which takes us. Is that all the books? I don't want to cut you
That's
off.
all the book.
Right.
That's the list for now.
I was reading that you were done, but I wanted to make sure. I wanted to ask. But
Yes,
takes us to the 5 questions for firefighters. You are only the second person to answer this version of the 5 questions for firefighters, and you only got like 1 hour to prepare because I told you right before the show started, hey, I changed those last week, so the ones I emailed you are not the ones you get. So this is how I find out if people watch the scrap before. But long story short, are you the questions have no right answers, only your opinion, and the points are arbitrary, passed out by me with the help of the YouTube audience. So Jason Worthy, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Let's do it.
Number 1, you have a time machine, but it can only be used for one thing. You can go back in time and give your younger self a single piece of advice. What would that advice be?
Apply yourself. As a student, especially throughout the school years, and then even into college, and then I would even argue early in my career in the fire service, just having the ability to do things and not necessarily applying my full self to it. That's something that as I matured, that I learned, like, hey, like if this is something that you do, you give it everything that you got. No half in, no half out. Apply yourself.
Apply yourself. I love that. And I love it. 2-word, simple as it gets, apply yourself. And you can apply that mindset to any aspect of life, man. Yeah, a lot. Number 2, it's Jobtown. It's time. You are en route and responding. The scene from Backdraft with that tape goes into that cassette deck while they are en route. What song are you playing to Jobtown?
Man, I tried to prepare for the questions. This question was super tough. Music speaks to me, and I listen to every genre. So as I was thinking about this, I bet I listened to 40 Jobtown playlists on Spotify. Like, hey, what's going to be the one? Because there's so much. Like, I would listen to songs, and I would be like, yeah, I could bump that on the way to a fire. The song that I went with is No Sleep Till Brooklyn by Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Sam will give me we've had some Beastie Boys. I don't know if No Sleep Till Brooklyn has been on there or not. Sam is saying, Sam is saying nothing. I'm putting Sam on the spot. It's on there. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was not 100% sure. I want to say, well, not the point, but phenomenal song. It is on the playlist. Max points. Question 1, Beastie Boys. Question 2, max points, easy. Number 3, cold weekend at the station. Rig checks are done. Training is done. PT is done. I want to say basically you're not being lazy. It's just a lazy day. So you're clicking through the TV in the day room and that movie's on. No matter what point in the movie it is, you get there, no matter what channel it's on. What's that movie for you that you always finish no matter where it's at?
I'm going to give you 2 because I got to give you one for the fire service, and that's Backdraft. If it's on, I'm watching it. I don't care how cliche that is. And the next one's going to be The Guardian. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. a lot of similar aspects to the fire service, but
2 answers.
2 answers,
All right.
not
Number
max
four.
points.
Number 4. Number 4. What is the one habit that you believe separates average firefighters from exceptional firefighters?
Training, commitment to training, and that can go as deep as we want it to go, whether that's training skills or training fitness.
Training. One word. I like the succinctness of your answers because they are you're 1 word, 2 word, done. And training is an easy max points. I've only had 2 people answer this question so far. We'll see how the question does over time because I don't know if there's enough stuff there. I'm waiting to see. But so far we got 2 different answers, so I'm excited. Number 5, and max points for training always. I mean, that's easy. I mean that. Heavy fire, and I don't mean it like in a downplay it way. I mean it like that's a great answer. Number 5, heavy fire, searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
I'm a truck company guy at heart, man. I'm going to be VES.
VES. I would be surprised with the truck company officer and everything else, and you spent most of your time on a truck company. I would be surprised if it wasn't that. So there you go.
Real quick funny story about that. So
Go.
I took a class called the South Carolina Company Officer Academy. Great class. It's something our state does that I think that they're doing a really good job of. They have a whole engine day, and Jonah comes down and teaches the engine day. There's pictures of me floating around, flowing a hand line with the biggest smile that I think I've had in a long time on my face. So I do still love it, but if it's between the 2, I'm still going to the truck company.
Right on, right on. And that officially makes it. And number 5, max points. Number 5, max points. And that officially, with those answers, puts number 358 in the books. Jason Worthy, thank you for being such a phenomenal guest. If someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get the info, to reach out to you? Tell us.
So I'm on social media, Jason Worthy on Facebook, JG Worthy on Instagram. I'll put my phone number out right now, 864-415-3085. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. Instagram, I respond pretty quick too. So
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And with that, we go to housekeeping. Go to patreon.com/thevigilantes. If you're not a vigilante, why not? It's where all the cool kids hang out. It is the like-minded souls. The Discord, man, it's popping off all the time. It's such a great resource and such a great network with the best people. And that's all I need to say about it. One of the best parts about being a vigilante is you get the after party where we're going to roast Jason after the show is over. We're going to go in and roast him and his mustache. And that's coming up. And with all that being said, coming up next week on the Scrap, Brandon Chapman, Grit Fire Training. Then 2 weeks from today, a long time in the planning, Steve, Borowski. I'm going to butcher his name no matter what every time I try and say it, but it's going to be getting into the weeds and a lot of nerdy stuff to talk about with Steve. And that's excited. All right. Enough jabbering for me. Time for the after party. Sam is sending out the leak. Jason Worthy, thank you once again for sharing your evening with us and for being such a phenomenal guest.
Thank y'all. It was humbled to be here still, man. It was such a good opportunity. I had a blast.
You had rapid fire questions coming at you, brother. You handled it beautifully. Audience, you crushed it tonight. You make the Scrap magical each and every week. The Scrap would not exist without you. Thank you for tuning in live. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. This job will never be safe, so stay smart out there.